How's it going? Welcome into the den for episode 2 of my razor review series. I put several months of thought into this. I've definitely overthought it. Since doing episode 1, I put a little bit of thought into something that we'll talk about here in a few minutes. This is just going to be straightforward razor review. Let's talk about the box real quick that it comes with, the case. So for just a little over $200 American, you get the razor and this beautiful mahogany case. It is absolutely gorgeous, solid wood. In the description will be links to other content creators. This razor and the Aries, both from Lamda. Lamda was founded in 2019, are part of a pass around that Wally Pankowski is doing. Thank you again, Wally, for the opportunity to do this. I think there's been 6 content creators before me. There will be one more after me, and that is my friend Matthew Lawrence. So when I'm done with these razors, I'm going to mail them on to Matthew, and you'll be able to see his opinion of these razors. But in the meantime, you can check out those guys there. In the description will be links to their channels so that you can see their thoughts. And I've been told, I've only seen Matt Pisarcik's review. It's the only content I've watched. But I've been told that a couple of guys have gone over the boxes. So if you'd like to see more of the case, check out the guys in the description. Let's get into this. The Athena, it's a nickel aluminum bronze. My understanding is that there will also be titanium as well as stainless steel versions. A link to Lamda Razors will be in the description. The first thing that we'll be doing with all these is looking at the efficiency score. In episode 1, I went down everything that I'm factoring into this. In these videos moving forward, just going to get right into it. Any questions, contact me, comment below, or check out episode 1. That was the Bolmica razor. Blade gap is 0.34 millimeters or 0.014 of an inch. For some perspective, right up there in inches are some of the more popular middle of the road razors that many of us are familiar with today. Exposure, it's 0. It's negative exposure. I have never seen a razor, a double-edged razor, or a single edge for that matter that I can think of, with so little exposure. One of the coolest things about this razor is that because of that blade gap and because of the exposure, it doesn't feel like it's all that efficient, but it is efficient. I talked about before that I would put it in the league with an Envoy, a little bit more efficient than the Mula Roca, which is a razor that I love. The Roca has a blade gap of, 0.029? Yeah, so 0.029 it's more efficient than that Roca that has double the blade gap. So for efficiency, I'm giving it a score of 7. That takes us into what I'm calling the symmetry score, where we look at knurling, weight and balance, and blade tabs. So how much of the blade tab sticks out from underneath the cap. It's microscopic, but you can feel it. It's just a little teeny tiny bit. And I like that. I like being able to get at least a little bit of a grip on the blade as I'm setting the cap on. We'll talk about tolerances in a second. If you shave your mustache, you will have to keep it in mind, but it doesn't stick out that far, as you can see in the photo. The knurling is not the grippiest razor in the world, but it's far from the slickest. I get a nice, good grip by putting my fingers right here, and I have a blade in it. I really like the feel of this razor in the hand. I've used it for a total of 8 shaves, 7.5, 3 passes, 7 times, and then on both sides of the face, and then just the 8th time, the first time, would have been just the one side of the face. No problems with it being slippery at all. And you see you got this perfect bevel down here at the bottom for your finger to rest. This razor feels great in the hand. The balance is perfect. A ton of thought has gone into this razor, and it is perfectly balanced. So for symmetry score, I'm giving it an 8. That takes us into the tolerance score, and that's blade alignment and chatter. So something I wanted to talk about real quick. A friend of mine commented on episode 1 that got me talking with a few other guys. When I talk about blade chatter, I'm not referring to audible feedback. So there's two things. Audible feedback is the noise that the razor makes as it's cutting the stubble. I love audible feedback, as I think a lot of guys do. And audible feedback is important, especially when you're using a razor like this one, because this one has a slightly different angle than what you're used to. And that's because of the gap and the exposure and the angle that you have to find it. And you know you found the right angle when you get that audible feedback. Now, blade chatter, what I mean by that is when, like I showed in episode 1, when you put the blade into the handle and then you put the bottom cap on, blade chatter is when you have poor alignment, when the blade isn't held in place and it's allowed to move back and forth or up and down. A lot of times it's up and down, but it can also be left and right. And it's just microscopic. It's not like it's moving around a lot. But that's what I mean by blade chatter. So audible feedback is desired. Blade chatter is not desired. So chatter, bad. Feedback, good. But we won't be talking about feedback with all the razors in this series. Just like with my brush review series, there will always be in the description a link to a video in which I used the razor. For this one, it's my Pineapple Bay Rum that I just did. And in that video, you will be able to hear the audible feedback. This razor has no chatter. The feedback is beautiful. It sings a song, a sixpence pocket full of rye. I mean, it's a beautiful little song, man. So no chatter, but there is audible feedback. There's always going to be some audible feedback, especially with double edge. Blade alignment. The blade alignment is perfect. You put the blade on the top cap, place the bottom, screw it together, and forget about it. The blade alignment and the chatter, perfect. This razor's tolerances are virtually damn near perfect. I'm not comfortable giving anything a 10 yet. We'll see if something ever gets a 10. But for tolerances, I'm giving this a 9.5 out of 10. Durability and construction materials. I'm calling this the permanence score. So I talked about it a second ago. This is made from nickel, aluminum, and bronze alloy, a combination of the 3 metals. This thing's built like a rock. It's another one of those razors that, just like a stainless steel, or just like a titanium razor, that it doubles as a weapon. I mean, if you're familiar with the old school cartoon in the 90s, DuckTales, you can Bubba Clubba, okay? For permanent score, I feel like this razor is made to last several lifetimes. This is an heirloom quality razor, and with a little TLC, it will last for generations. 9.5 on permanence score. Friendliness to new wet shavers. Now, there's a lot of things that I have factored into that. 1 is price, and then 2 is all the things that we just talked about. So for friendliness to new wet shavers, I'm giving it a 7. And the only reason why I'm giving it a 7 is because it is a little higher on the efficiency score. For a new wet shaver, I do recommend something like an Edwin Jagger, something like a Mula, something like a Merkur, the razors that you saw on the screen a moment ago. So that is the only real reason why I give it a 7, combined with the score. Also a new wet shaver, I don't recommend them spending $200 on a razor. I would actually like to see a new wet shaver spend between $20 and $50. So that's something else that will always be factored into this friendliness to a new wet shaver. Now, I think that a new wet shaver can grab it and go. But I would recommend this being a second, third, fourth, or fifth razor and not your first razor. Value. The value is amazing, especially when you factor in that box. That box is heirloom quality. That box is going to last forever. The razor is going to last forever. My friend Barry, you might know him as a Texan Shaves here on YouTube. So something I didn't talk about before, but I want to talk about it real quick because it says a lot about the company Lamda Razors. We're at 10 minutes. I need to wrap this up. Barry had some spotting issues on the razor. This razor had a little bit of spotting on it as well, right? It was easily fixed with a little bit of flitz. Now, what I wanted to mention, though, was Barry reached out to Lamda Razors and asked about it. And so they first gave him a solution, which was use flitz, and they also gave a couple other solutions. But what really, really impressed me was they told him, and I saw the email, they told him that if he can't get it fixed, if he has any problems at all, they will send him a free razor. And like, they weren't questioning him or anything. They didn't attach anything to it, but you got to do this, you got to do that. They just said, try this. If that doesn't work, we'll send you another razor. And I'm paraphrasing an email, but that's what was said. So because of that, I was totally blown away, and Lamda earned my my love, my affection, right? I'm like, oh my gosh, I was blown away. When companies behave like that, you can't help but want to support them. And so from that, I'm even more committed now than I was before on buying the Athena. I want to buy the Athena. This is not my Athena. Again, it's part of a pass around. I can't wait to get my hands on one of these razors. I absolutely love the way this thing shaves. Everything about it. I'm giving it a value of 9. And you're not going to see a whole lot of values that high in this series, and you're certainly not going to see very many higher than that. This is a value of 9, and that is considering that is a $200 razor. I believe it is worth every penny. I believe that he could charge $300, $400 for the razor. And I think he could, $200, you're getting that box for free. This is a $200 razor with a free $50 or $100 box. So with that, that is episode 2 in my razor review series. What did you guys think? Did I miss anything? Should I cover more? Was it good? Next time, I do want these to be shorter. I'm going to continue to try and work these down to 7 or 8 minutes. That's kind of my goal, 7 to 8 minutes. Take care, guys. It's the little big things. And like always, with these razor review and brush review series, value. Value is a little big thing. You guys take care and have a great week. Thanks again, Wally.